Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cosmic Closet Podcast, home of news that wants to be discussed, home of news that needs to be discussed, and home of news that will be discussed. I'm your host, Blaine, and joining me today are my co-hosts. We have the full team. We have Casey.
Hello.
We have Jacob.
Hi.
And we have Connor.
Hello.
And then we're also happy to announce our second set of guests. We have the Great Blank with us. We have Brennan.
Hey, what's up?
And then we have Alex.
Hey, what's going on?
So, how's everyone doing today?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Doing?
Doing good.
There we go.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So you guys are our second set of guests. How does it feel to be on the Cosmic Closet finally?
Truly honored. It's a blessing.
Yeah,
It's the
it
highlight
really
of the
is.
career.
It's exciting.
No, it is. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
It'll be good.
Thank you.
This is the highlight of our career. So
Perfect.
all right.
I'm honored.
So I guess to just kind of, because I'm sure most people won't know what we're doing here right now. Just kind of tell us what the Great Blank is. I threw up the album cover of you two. So give us a synopsis of what you guys do, what the message is, why you started in it. What does the name mean?
I think the name. Okay, the name's a good one to start on. I think
Yeah,
name's a pretty easy story.
it's a good story.
Yeah. Well, we were just kind of trying to come up with a name, and Alex has his hip hop persona, and he goes by Alexander the Great. So we were kind of trying to do something off that, and he was texting me back and forth saying the Great, and then a word after it. Throw the Great Depression, and I'm not a fan of that. But he was just like, yeah, I want to do just something like the Great Blank, just blank is a filler word, and I was like, hey, that's pretty dope. So that was
Yeah.
kind of all that was.
Yeah, and then we threw it back and forth. I didn't like it at first. I was like, no, we need something new. And then he didn't let me get rid of the name. And after a month of not really fighting, but talking
Right.
back and forth, I was like, shit, that's dope.
It's a very unique name.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. It has a nice sound to it,
It does. So I guess
I agree.
I have the Home album up, and it's of you guys on the road. Who what was kind of the intent of this photo? What was the idea behind it?
Oh, the photo. Nothing really. I mean, we needed an album cover, and none of us can draw for shit. And my mom is actually a photographer, so she had a nice camera, and I was like, hey, could you take some pictures of us just outside? I mean, that's literally, that picture's just right outside of my house, just us sitting in the middle of the street at 10 o'clock or something at night.
Damn.
And yeah, that was the one we went with. And it's okay.
Well, I mean, something that's interesting about it, we wanted both of us on it, but we also wanted to show the different personalities that we were bringing. So the posing is kind of purposeful in that, I'm sitting, kind of pose like a rapper. I didn't know how to phrase that, but up front and showing a lot of personality, and Brennan's off to the other side, kind of slouching. And relaxed in the photo. And we kind of wanted to juxtapose our two different personalities in the music
Right.
on the cover. And of course, it's home. It's out in front of his house. It was.
Yeah, that worked out well.
Yeah, that's a
Oh,
good.
So there's one little cool thing about that album cover is that I think you have mismatched socks. You have one black sock and then one bright neon blue or green sock on, and you can just barely see it.
That goes back to my middle school days of buying mismatched socks. You would buy a
Yep.
pack of 10 socks that didn't match.
It's true.
it's a lot more intricate than I thought. Expected.
There's a lot going on.
Oh yeah, a lot of hidden meanings in there.
When did you? Actually, I think I might have it. Okay, yeah, you released Home back in December of 2016.
Yeah, I think the 18th. I think it was the 18th.
Yeah,
2016.
December 18th.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
It's amazing how life gets you back.
Yeah.
And what was crazy about making that, up to getting it out, I was staying up till like 4 in the morning for 3 or 4 weeks mixing and mastering, and then we'd send drafts back and forth. God, that whole process was such a pain.
Yeah, it was a process. I mean, you'd roast me, I'd roast you right back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Back in months. We worked on that for around like 9 months. I think we started in like February.
Oh shit, really?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, so what happened was I just kind of wanted to collab with somebody, not even necessarily just collab with them, but like start like a project with somebody who I
Right.
knew would want to actually drop something and actually want to make something. And Alex has his Alexander the Great stuff, which is really good.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that.
And
a
we had
little
been
bit.
friends, yeah, for sure. But we had been friends for a while before we made this, and then I don't remember who approached who, but we just decided to make a project, and I was really happy to. I was finally wanted to drop something, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it started out as a project. Originally, Brennan would send me a few beats because I wanted to rap on one of his beats, quote unquote. And we went through a few different tracks, and we threw out a few I couldn't write to, and then he threw out a few that he didn't like. And then after us just conversing back and forth about it a lot, we thought, well, let's see what we could do with this.
Right. Damn. Did it?
Thus, the Great
like-
Blank was born.
Yeah. I'm just gonna ask you, like, what kind of? I'm gonna throw up. I pulled a tweet from your guys' Twitter, and it's the one
There we
on
go.
December 4th, 2016, and it's you and it says B Wall and then at Not Haptic are proud to present to you the Great Blank. It's kind of like the very first tweet.
Yeah, that was just kind of us announcing our musical project group thing,
Okay.
I guess.
Right.
Just the name of it. Yeah, Not Haptic was Alex's Twitter handle, so that's
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So I guess.
yeah,
like,
that was just kind of us announcing.
So I was gonna ask, like, what motivated you to become musicians? So it seems like you were on two of the similar paths, and you kind of crossed together and like decided to work together.
Well, I'm interested to hear what Brennan has to say about this because I've never heard this story.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Okay, so wait, what? Okay, wait, what was it again?
Like,
Explain.
what
Explain
motivated
you
you to become the Great Blank?
become the Great Blank. Okay. Personally, okay, well, since like high school, I had been a couple like high school bands, just a couple kids getting together,
Right.
jamming, making some music, and I thought that was fun, but it wasn't like every time we would do something like that. I was in a couple of kind of little bands like that, but it never really amounted to anything. I mean, like only one time we released a song as like one of those bands, but other than that, nothing really. So I was just kind of wanting to actually like release a full project, like an EP or an album or something like that. And I don't know, I was getting a little tired of just the kind of music that I had been making. So I wanted to try kind of my own take on, I guess, like hip hop beats or whatever.
Right.
And yeah, I knew Alex had a good work ethic from all his Alexander the Great stuff, and we had been good friends. So I thought that would make a good pairing. But yeah, really, a lot of it was just wanted to drop something, and because I had been making music for years and was just looking forward to doing something with someone.
That's awesome.
Well, hey, I'm glad to be that person.
Of course. Of course.
For me, it was a little different. I had been making music, I think, since freshman year of high school. So I released my first EP the summer of freshman year. And then I released 2 or 3 other projects after that. I had one full-length album. And then, so my biggest issue was with it that I didn't have as much input. It was more, I would get a beat, would rap over it, and then that would be the end of it. And the lack of creative control with direction was hard to get over, and then finding beats was such a pain.
Oh yeah.
Just because finding some cohesiveness in putting together projects was something that I hated doing. You'd have to swim through SoundCloud pages, people
Oh
with
my
like
God.
100 followers for hours and hours on end.
Right.
And then being in contact with those people, you send them a SoundCloud message, and that's like shooting a 3-point or shooting a half-court shot. You don't know if that's going to land, if they're going to reply or anything like that.
Yeah.
So after dealing with a lot of that, Brennan and I had started talking back and forth, and as I said, we would send those messages back and forth, originally trying to just me do what I had done before and just make a song on someone else's beat. But something I found amazing about the beats he was sending me was it was nothing like I had ever heard before. It was something that I thought this could be something special because of the nature of the music. It was something I didn't have before. It was something I didn't hear on the millions of SoundCloud pages I went through. And so the more I had heard from him and the more I had watched him work, I could tell he really wanted to do something, and it made it an easy decision to, I don't know, as he said, who hit up who, but to pursue it further.
Yeah, right.
I'm tearing up over here. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Jacob, do you have a few questions for them, or Casey or Connor?
So, like, have you guys tried reaching out to, like, any production companies or anything to, like, expand? Or
Production, no. We've kind of flirted with the idea a couple of times of stuff, music blogs, but that's pretty hit or miss, especially when you're so small, and especially these days where, you know, anyone can put out anything, and it's just kind of hard to get that traction there. But production companies, not necessarily. We played like one live show. I don't know if this was last summer.
Oh yeah, I was
anything.
gonna ask about that. I have the tweet of that.
Yeah, it was. It
Pull
was
it up
actually. You want to talk about that, Alex? Is your
Is that
the
the
restaurant?
Ember Urban Eatery or something?
Yeah, I actually loved that. Just being able to do it. We had worked for an entire summer to get a set list together, and I loved when we practiced together and play live. It was me, Brennan,
It was fun.
and then a good friend of ours, Kanji Lanham. He would play drums.
Oh, okay.
And then working out all the kinks with that was a very rewarding experience because you would end up with something that like I was proud of. We would build the set. And it was something I'd never done before. I had never performed live. All that I had done was recording. And I think Brennan had a little more experience just in the nature of his music, playing guitar and things like that. He knows the performance, I think, a little bit more. And so us coming together and all being on the same page was amazing. And then getting the opportunity to perform it during the set, they were trying to kick us off because there was another band.
Yeah.
What?
And the owner of the place was like, no, just keep playing. Fuck him.
It's fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty awkward. It was a weird situation to be pinned in because it was like the owner wanted us to keep playing, but then this other band was
Yeah, what was this like
getting
a?
shitty at us.
What was this like a restaurant or like a outdoor area or
Yeah.
what?
It was a restaurant, but we were playing in the outdoor area.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fun. I loved it.
Was there like
It was fun.
quite a crowd or?
Mm,
No,
Yeah.
no, it was just
No.
it was like a free event or whatever. Come and just kind of sit down and listen to, but it was still fun. I enjoyed it.
We got a fan that day.
We
Okay.
did. We got a follower. We got a Twitter follower after that. That's
There
cool.
we go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Connor, Casey, or Jacob, anything? I have a few questions, but I wanted to see if you guys had anything.
Nothing.
No,
I
not
can
really.
think of.
Looks like they're doing well so far. Okay, one
Well,
thing
it
that
was
I
a
wanted to
pleasure.
talk.
Nice talking to you.
No, I want to talk about like okay, so in Home there was the Man Without a Face song, which is pretty much like the most popular one on that album.
It's a banger.
It is.
Yeah, that's probably our favorite
So
one.
I'm gonna play a piece of it. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear it because it's a little bit of a delay, but the stream will hear it. I'm just gonna play like the first 15 seconds to show like the gist of it.
Sounds good.
I grew up too late. Said I'd be great. Instead, I'm turning gray. Stuck in this place. That's just how I'll stay. The man without a face. Running.
Yeah, so it's I like the beat, and then Alex comes in at the beginning, like 15 seconds in, and Alex, I didn't know you could rap until I heard you on SoundCloud and stuff, and it's like I think I've told you guys this in person, like when we've hung out, it's like it sounds professional.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's
that
not like a SoundCloud artist. It's like
Wow.
it's a pretty professional sounding group.
Yeah, that's one thing that we tried to work out with Home. I mean, I'm still not super proud of it. Of course, you're your own worst critic,
Right.
but working out the mixing and mastering the music is such a unappreciated art, because that's what makes the difference between great music and good music. I think is Brennan and I have argued about this a lot. And Brennan is part of the crowd that thinks a good song is a good song no matter what, whereas I think you need a well-produced song.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think there are stylistic choices for. I don't know. I think there are arguments for songs that are intentionally mixed poorly as part of that style, you know. But I
Right.
think a poorly mixed song is a poorly mixed song. You know, I don't think that. You know, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Definitely, you need mixing. Definitely,
Yeah.
these-
I put up the listens. I took like a screenshot of the listens of the whole album, and The Man Without the Face has almost 300. So I was just wondering like why you thought maybe that one was the most popular of the group.
I kind of think it's always been our favorite song on the
Yeah.
album.
Right.
It connected really well.
That was my favorite beat that I had made for it for sure.
And then that was my favorite melody. Like I didn't sing a melody or rap a melody over the chorus, but your guitar work in the chorus line that does follow the melody, "The Man Without a Face,"
Mhm.
I think every time I've heard that, I don't necessarily get chills, but like,
It's a bop.
yeah, it's a bop.
Yeah.
My head stands up. It bangs a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
So another thing that I wanted to ask was like, since that was like it was more than a year ago, what was like the first initial feeling of hitting the share button and dropping that first full album? It had to be
I don't know. It's
nerve-wracking
It's always hard because we had been working on it for months, and then we had this deadline, and we were fine. I mean, we met it, but when it came to it, I think both of us were just kind of thinking, you know, is it really done? Could we take another like month or two and really solidify this? And I would argue, yeah, we could have. There are
we
things I
definitely
look
should
back
have.
on now where I'm like, wow, I really wish I had mixed this way better. But you know, when the time came, I was really excited, and I was happy to have finally kind of released something full, something that I was proud of musically, at least.
Yeah, something Brennan touched on in that, talking about how he would have mixed something differently. I think that was our biggest struggle with that tape, and something we really had to iron out was the mixing, especially. So Brennan has a Mac and I have a PC, and the production software we use is not compatible. So he uses Logic. I don't know if the people listening know what that is, but essentially it's a Mac only software. And I use Ableton, which is both on PC and Mac.
Oh,
But
nice, nice.
Brennan had always used Logic.
Right.
And so instead of, so I would hear something and then instinctively want to be like, oh, I got to change that. But I couldn't. I didn't have the ability to. So it improved our communication skills, because we'd have to accurately type out, hey, this is what I think needs to happen. This needs to go this way. This needs to go that way. But I think we still fell short, just, I would guess, due to the distance, because
Yeah, we were both at school at that time, and
we go to
you
different
know,
schools.
Yeah, and we probably met up in person a couple of times over the breaks,
Like
but that was
2 or 3.
yeah, but that was really it. Everything else was like over text and phone calls, kind of communicating everything. So that was a little difficult, but yeah, I think it worked out.
Yeah.
But to answer that question, I don't really remember hitting the share button. My biggest
Hang on,
joy
Alex.
was,
Is there like any way you could like? I think it's picking up on Brennan's mic. There's like a little bit
I
of
will
echo.
mute. My bad.
No,
there
you're
we
fine.
go.
Like,
Yeah.
are you guys in the
Um,
same room or something?
Yeah, we are.
No, it's fine now. It was just
Yeah, Brennan muted.
Okay.
Yeah, we apologize.
No, it's good. You're just catching it.
Yeah. So I think I don't necessarily remember hitting the share button, but my biggest joy in that project was I think about a week before it released. We sat all of our close friends down in my basement, and there were like 8 dudes in a really tiny room, and we just played it for them. And then at the end of it, we were like, "Hey, what do you guys think? What do you rate it out of 10?" And we got solid scores all around. We got about what I expected, but something Brennan was thinking after, because we had talked about it after, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't expect that at all. I
Yeah.
expected lower than
Right.
that." And so that was just really rewarding. The people that I had been around, and a lot of the people that had inspired it, willingly or unwillingly, had just having them see it and hear it before everyone else had was really rewarding.
All those people got shout outs on the last track too.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah, it's like all the people there.
Damn. I was gonna ask, like, on the home album, like how did you create the names? Like, Play No Games, Casket, Celebrity, Man Without a Face.
That was a lot of, I think, more so Alex is doing. I don't think I had as much to do with the naming of the songs. I think the one song I had the most kind of like to do with the lyrics and all that was Man Without a Face. I think that was the only one I really kind of tried to step in and help with. Everything else, though, I think Alex kind of tackled on his own and made all the song names. So I'll let you take.
Yeah, with Man Without a Face, Brennan wrote most of the chorus, which was the most writing Brennan had done, I think, at that time. And but otherwise, most of it aligns with like the chorus lines. With Play No Games, it's the last line in the chorus. Man Without a Face, it's the last line. Casket Celebrity was something we had talked about. It's never explicitly said, but the idea of the song. So we went during high school. An acquaintance of ours happened to pass away. She overdosed on drugs, and then afterwards,
Damn.
I was not great friends with her. Brennan was not great friends with her, but we both knew her. And I mean, I talked to her pretty often. We sat at the same lunch table, actually.
Damn.
And she ended up overdosing, and then for the following 2 or 3 months, she was all that was talked about, and everybody kind of wanted to act like they were her great friend. They knew her so well. Oh, they knew this and this and that about her.
Right.
And it was loosely inspired by her. It wasn't directly, but it was just the idea that those
No, keep going. I just want to add to that. You're done.
just the idea that when someone passes, the allure of their death
Right.
kind of lives on.
I think I want to say I think a lot of that was also inspired that year. I think was kind of flooded with a lot of celebrity deaths that a lot of people tried to like cling on to. I think Prince died that year, and
Robin Williams.
so did Harambe. So no, but there were a lot of things like that where Prince died, and all these people were coming out and like, oh fuck, like Prince died, like oh my
He
favorite
was my
like
idol.
fucking song was, yeah, and I'm not saying I'm the biggest Prince fan, but I didn't really, I don't know. It's not that I didn't care if Prince died, legend's gone, but I don't know. It was just a little fake that when you have that sort of reaction to somebody or something, losing something. I think it's great to honor that person and all of that. I think that song was just kind of more so about using someone's death, using a tragedy kind of for your own benefit, and that was a lot.
feel that.
A lot what that was about.
It's somewhat reminiscent of Michael Jackson's death that I think about more often than I'd like to admit. But like when Michael Jackson died, everybody hailed him, oh my gosh, the king of pop is dead. He was one of the greatest musicians of all time, and he had the highest selling album of all time. He's the highest selling album by over 20 million album sales. So he's like 65 million, and the album second is 45 million.
Damn.
He's one of the greatest. He's one of the most well known. But so with those facts and with those facts being presented as he died, as if he was an an amazing person, beloved by the people, they forget that 5 years prior, 10 years prior, they were giving him the Britney Spears treatment and sort of pushing him off the edge. You know, the whole thing, putting the baby out the window. It was kind of a witch hunt for Michael Jackson at that time. And then 10 years later, to forget about all that past that had genuinely occurred, that I don't want to say ruined his life, but that had, I'm sure, had traumatic effects on him. It's just the juxtaposition behind it is very interesting. And so we wanted to make a song about that. And then for the next song, Outside, I have no idea where that name came from. Live was the name of the beat, and then Thank You was a genuine thank you track. So Casket Celebrity was like the one.
Yeah, no,
That's the only one with a kind of a long backstory there.
That's cool to know.
Speaking of Michael Jackson, do you remember where you were when he died?
Absolutely not. I feel terrible saying that, but I totally do not. I think it's because I didn't really the last couple of years. Like, I had known him, I know all his songs and stuff, and they were good, but now I can look back and genuinely appreciate that and really be like, damn, dude's dead, not making any more tracks. But I didn't really have an appreciation for him back then as much.
Yeah, during that time, I was listening to a lot of hard rock, some screamo, and things like that. So I wasn't as into that kind of music. And yeah, I don't remember, just like Brenna does, just because I don't think I was old enough to appreciate it.
I was in South Carolina at Connor's great aunt's like fucking lake house. So I throw that out there.
Well, yeah, Connor, do you remember? Weren't you with him when the news broke?
I must have been.
Who's
I
at
don't
that
remember
fucking
where I
lake
was.
house?
I don't remember. When did that happen? Is it like 2014? I don't know.
I don't fucking know.
Had to have been before then.
It was
Yeah,
way
that was-
before that.
That was a decent while ago. Wasn't that the same year Billy Mays died? I don't know why that one I remember more than Michael Jackson. I remember when Billy Mays died, I was like,
Hey, didn't he die in like a plane? Like he hit his head?
did he?
Wait, he hit his
He
head on
didn't
the
have some
plane?
like absorbent gel or some shit he was saying?
I don't fucking know. I think I heard something like he hit his head on a plane and he died like 2 hours after.
Wait, Billy
Wait, he was
Mays.
in his seat and he hit his head? Or
Yeah, like they I don't know. He just stood up and hit his head and died like 2 hours
No.
later.
I think he had like a heart attack or something.
Nah, I just Googled both of them. Michael Jackson died in 2009, and Billy Mays did in fact die due to a head injury after
Hey,
standing
yeah,
up
see?
in an airplane.
I
Wait,
told
what
you.
year?
Oh my
What?
god.
I told you.
2009.
Hey, it was the same year. God damn it.
I
I'm
told you.
ashamed of that.
You should be.
Yo,
Throw out a
someone in
big
the
city
chat.
letter station.
Someone in the chat actually responded.
Billy Mays had a heart attack. Yeah, someone said he had a heart attack in the chat.
Well,
Whoa.
that's too bad. He was a legend.
Steve Irwin. Steve Irwin was
Ooh.
another one where
That
you
was a
were
rough
where you
one.
were.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was. I remember it was a rough one.
We were like 6 years old.
I have one of his DVDs. I have one of his movies. Crocodile Hunter movie. Or something. I don't
Oh,
know.
shit.
Somewhere. Somewhere here. His kids are cool.
It's probably worth a lot now.
His legend.
Yeah, and his kids are adorable. I love his children. They're like Twitter's children.
No, Bindy's legal now.
Oh my god.
What the- Wow. Wow.
Yeah, to go back to Billy Mays, if you Google Billy Mays' death, it says he died from hitting his head on an airplane. But if
Yeah,
you
yeah, I
look at
didn't make that
Wikipedia-
up. Like that was literally the news story.
Yeah, the Wikipedia though says he died in his sleep from cardiovascular disease.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Probably after the head hit.
Yeah, maybe he like passed out and then died. Who
What
knows?
a way. Way to go.
Yeah, what a way to go.
Did the plane, I don't understand, did the plane, was it like going really fast and did it like break like a car? I
I don't know.
It
When
was
you hit your
during
head.
landing.
No.
During
I'd
the
still-
Yeah, I swear to God, he like hit it
no
on the
idea.
seat in front of him, or he stood up wrong.
What?
You gotta be careful, dude.
That's such a like Mr. Magoo.
He can save others from unwanted fucking misfortune, but not himself.
Okay, alright.
No.
Well, this has really gone off track.
That's
down
alright.
a rabbit hole right
Billy
now.
Mays is not the worst topic we could have transitioned into.
Nah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so it was during landing, but stuff from the roof of the plane started falling from the ceiling,
Yeah, I told you.
and it hit him on the head.
Oh my god.
What if his family sued that airline? Like, could they even prove that that's what caused his death?
They probably didn't need to, man. Billy Mays. Come on.
His name is a
Millionaire.
copyright.
His name is a copyright? No,
It
it's
should
not.
be.
Oh, okay.
His name is a copyright. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other celebrity deaths that are fairly recent. Robin Williams was another one where everyone came out and was like, "Oh my god, he was my favorite actor."
That one was big. That one was pretty big. That one I think you can give more people a pass on because I think, I don't know, Robin Williams is a pretty big part of our lives as like children. Like a lot of the movies
Right.
we were watching, you know,
Yeah.
Aladdin, Jumanji, all that stuff. That was a pretty significant one, I would argue. Alan Rickman, that was also another one.
Oh
that
yeah,
was
Snape.
Alan Rickman.
Thinking of
Snape.
him.
Oh
Snape
yeah.
from
Oh,
Harry
yeah.
Potter. Also the dude from Galaxy Quest. It's like the only other movie I know him from.
Dogma.
Dogma.
Who's that?
Never.
He was like an
Never heard of
angel.
that.
Minor character.
Sheesh.
It's tough.
I know. Oh, who else? They have that one
David
guy
Bowie
replacing
was
Billy
recent.
Mays now, the Flex Seal guy.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. I watched a video of him once and it was like we know accidents happen. How do you think the kids got here?
Oh whoa!
Oh my god.
I always saw his boats in half and fucking sprays that
I-
stuff on it.
Dude, I
Oh
watched
no,
that,
that's
like,
the Flex Seal guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. Was Billy Mays
Oh.
the one that said the kid one?
No, that was the Slap Chop guy, the ShamWow guy.
Oh, that's a whole nother guy.
Oh, Vince.
Yeah, Vince, the Sham Wow man.
I didn't even know his name.
David Bowie was pretty recent.
Oh yeah, that made me listen to Bowie. I'd never listened to Bowie before
I haven't
then.
listened to him at all.
It's pretty solid.
Fizz said, according to a CNN article, cocaine may have been a factor in Billy Mays' death.
I would think so. He's got that Oxy clean.
Damn. Just kind of going back to the music part, I think Jacob is the one that can probably relate to you guys the most, because Jacob had a friend coming out of high school that produced music, and they kind of made some stuff together. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that, Jacob, but you've had some experience in that.
I didn't. We made an album, like a really, really shitty album. Like he did all the work, and he used Ableton. I actually wanted to ask you about
Hell
this.
yeah.
Like, how the fuck do you learn how to use Ableton?
Bro, I feel the same way about Logic. Every time I look at Logic, I'm like, what is this software?
Logic
Yeah.
is easy. Logic is so easy.
The view in Ableton where you can turn it, instead of having mixer channels, you have a what's it called, a horizontal view, a portrait view. Yeah. That is my bread and butter.
I might have to try that because I mean, I have Ableton right now, and it's just rotting on my computer because I don't know how to work. But I mean, I could have helped him because I'm like a percussionist. I could have maybe helped him with beats or something, but I didn't know what was going on, so couldn't really help.
What kind of project was it?
Like,
What kind of music?
honestly, I don't know how to describe it. It was all like instrumental, and some of it was like kind of orchestral, and then another half was just like house beats. It was just weird.
Hell
was
yeah.
Was it like a movie soundtrack?
Kind of. It was just like an experience, I guess. Every song just like melded into the other.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
That's tight.
Another thing that I kind of wanted to get to was, Alex, your first I don't know if it was your first one, but the Alexander the Great account, you collabed with a lot of people.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
just kind of wanted to ask, like, how did you kick that off? How did you meet all those people, link up with them?
Well, there's a community on Reddit, because of course there is, for hip hop makers,
Right.
and a lot of it was, so that's where I got a lot of my information and a lot of my kind of critiques when I first was starting, because they have a lot of different threads, like, oh, feedback thread, post your feedback, and everyone has to reply or else you get banned. So everyone does it. Um, and so going through that a lot, they also have collab threads. Um, being around there, you would see the same sort of faces back and forth, back and forth. And eventually you start to get to know those people. There was like a battle competition that you would go through if you wanted to. And I battled a few times, but the personalities of those people that you would never meet really came out in their music during the battles. You could see who was like kind of about it and was hard and was just trying to tell
Right.
you to fuck off, and the people that were a little more goofy, cracking jokes and things like that. And so going through those competitions, again, you just see the same faces, and then they see your face over and over again. So it's just by the test of time, you'd end up linking up and saying like, hey, let's do something. Here's a beat. I rapped on it. You do something.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a really amazing community. I don't know where I would be without it, to be honest. It just, there was so much information and so much growth that happened during that period of time
Oh,
that
yeah.
I don't think Google would have ever taught me all that Reddit community did.
Well, that Ghost Ride song, I mean, you have 12,000 listens, not 12,000, 1,200 listens.
Yeah,
Just
that
on that.
song, that was a fucking heater. That whole tape, that was off my grilled cheese mixtape, and the whole idea of it was, none of this is me, but I'm gonna make the best party music I can, even though it's more like playing a character, I guess.
Right.
And I think I succeeded for the most part. The Ghost Ride song, that beat I didn't get from Reddit. It's the only beat I think almost I've ever used other than Brennan and I's that I didn't get offline. It was actually from a close friend of mine. His name's Max Maurer. He gave me that beat like 2 years prior, and I had been sitting on my hard drive. And then I was like, well, you know, I've been making depressing music for the past 2 years. I guess this is the time. And then I threw a big party and almost got the cops called.
Whoa,
and we
what?
grilled cheeses the entire night because that was the mixtape name.
Damn.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Fond
play a
memories.
little sample of Ghost Ride for the stream. Give me a few seconds here.
Yeah, please enjoy.
Top down, white kicks, let me
Ghost ride the whip,
red blouse, slick shit, let me
ghost ride the whip,
drop top, stick shift, let me
ghost ride the whip,
seat back, top bitch, let me
ghost ride the whip, ghost ride the whip, ghost ride the whip, 2 cups, 6 split, let me ghost ride the whip, ghost ride the whip, ghost.
Okay, yeah. So it from the get go, like the beat, and then you coming in. I mean, like, how long did it take to make that song?
Shoot, that's an interesting question. I'm not really sure. Again, the beat I'd had the beat for a very long time.
Oh, okay.
And I think about half of the chorus had been written, and that was sort of the
Damn.
foundation for the track. And I think half of the first verse. Wow, I cannot believe I remember this. So I remember sitting in Max's production room, and it was me, him, and another friend of ours, and he was playing the beat over and over for about an hour. And I had written half of that chorus and then half of the first verse. And then after that, we didn't do anything else. And so that had sat in my notes for, again, like 2 years, 2 or 3 years. And then whenever I was putting that tape together, I pulled out that beat and was like, oh, I remember this. This was fire. And then looked up if I had any notes on it, and then still had that foundation. And then after that, I think, I don't know, it was probably written in about a week. Just because I don't write a lot, but when I do, it gets done quick. I'll put a beat on repeat for 10 hours straight until I got something good.
Right.
And then all the post-production and all the recording and mixing and all that. Yeah, it took probably a week, but a dedicated week, that's for sure.
Jesus.
And a lot of time. I think without that 2-year gap, it would not be the song that it turned into.
Yeah, that's insane that it took that long. I mean, not that you were working on it for the full 2 years, but just how much thought goes behind every song.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as Brandon said, our last tape took 9 months, but a lot of the tape happened even before that 9 months started, just from us writing around, Brennan producing, and then he'd end up with a track, a month into our 9 months that he had been working on. I'm sure for more than that, if Brennan wants to chime in.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Just kind of, he was saying how long all the time went into for the track, but
Right.
like I pulled lyrics from other songs I'd written for our tape because I thought they fit better, and then editing them and all that. But I'm sure you did something similar with things like melodies and ideas.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if I want to, I can sit down and like fully write a song in probably like a day or two. It's just sometimes it can just get boring, and you can get writer's block, and I would get that a lot from a lot of these songs. I think Man Without a Face might have been the one that took me the longest, or Live. Live was kind of a pain in the ass because there's a lot of parts to it. It's not really it's not really like a verse chorus kind of thing, and that's kind of how kind of similar thing for Man Without a Face too. There's just a lot of different kind of parts that transitions into, and writing those can kind of take a minute because I'll be fine sitting down and writing like a chorus or like a verse or something for a song, but then after that I'll normally have to take a break for like a couple days just to
Really?
refresh my mind. Otherwise it's just like I'll sit there for like 2 or 3 hours and then just delete everything because I'm just pissed off and bored.
Right.
So I don't know. It's just kind of a lot of mental refreshment, I guess. Working on music, you definitely can't work on one track for a super long amount of time. I think that's what we're kind of experiencing with this album a lot, is that at least me, I'll be working on a track and then just get super bored, and then do something else or work on a different track or make a new song. So that can be a pain in the ass, but yeah, it can take a minute.
We definitely have gone through a few tracks just because Brennan has been bored of them, and myself too. I've been like, I can't write to this. I don't like it. It's not for me. We've gone through, I would think, at least like a dozen tracks just because one of us is like, nah, this is just not gonna work.
Yeah. That's insane.
Well, we have an album on the way after. We're gonna drop a single next, which should hopefully be pretty soon here, and then we're gonna drop an album, which we're working on basically since like we released Home. The problem was that since we started it so long ago, I feel like I've changed my writing style quite a bit since then, and so like just recently, like half of the songs were still from kind of like that Home era of writing, and the other half were pretty new and fresh, and kind of more so what I want to go for in this album. And so I kind of had to look back on a lot of those tracks and be like, that's not really what I want anymore.
Right.
And I think I ended up scrapping I think so far I've probably scrapped like 6 or 7 songs total on
think
this
it's like
9 or
10.
10 song album. No, I haven't. I haven't scrapped 10.
I don't know. I got a beats folder for this tape with 18 songs, and we have 8 as of now. So
I've scrapped a lot. I've scrapped probably at least like 6 or 7 of the original tracks. So it's not what it used to be. But I think that's for the best. I think we're changing our sound a bit and kind of evolving, and something we need to do.
yeah, for sure. I think it's definitely for the better. It's it's been a journey, but I'm much happier where we are now than where we were 3 or 4 months ago.
Oh, definitely, 100%.
That's good. You're improving, which is a good sign in anything.
Always a good sign.
It's always a good sign.
Yeah, could you imagine?
Jacob or Casey, did you have any follow-up questions on that or anything?
Not really on that. Like, this goes way back. Like, Alex, are you still doing that? Are you still in that Reddit community? Like, do you still do that to this day?
A little less so, but that's partially just because of the nature of how Brett and I make music. I don't want to say we're slower, but we're a lot more particular. Whereas beforehand, I'd get a beat and would rap on it, and then I'd be like, "Hey, rate this." But I think now it's more just because of our collaboration and the nature of our group. We now do all that internally a lot more. And occasionally, you know, I have a few select people that I'll send things to and say, "Hey, what do I need to tweak? What do you think about this? What do you think about this idea?" But for the most part, we, as I said before, we're our own worst critics, and I think that's for the best, just because we know what we're going for. But if one of us isn't in check, the other person is. It never seems to be that we're both in the wrong about what we think something should be.
Right.
Okay.
It's interesting. Yeah, I didn't even expect like a Reddit community. That's a good idea to go to like get your name out there though.
Yeah.
It got me all the followers I have on SoundCloud, so it did a little bit.
Yeah, I can't like. What was your initial thought seeing like Ghost Ride take off like that, and just the opportunity to just work with all those people? Like even if it didn't lead to anything, like it's just still a unique experience.
Oh, definitely. I think that was my most exciting album drop, because as soon as I dropped it, I think there was damn near 100 plays on everything.
Damn.
It was really exciting. That was within the first hour. Of course, it trailed off very quickly,
Right.
but that initial rush was incredible. And I mean, we pay attention to the stats a lot less than I did then. You know, I was sophomore, junior in high school. I wanted all the fame, the fortune, the popularity, all that kind of stuff, all the smoke and mirrors. And so it was very enthralling. And then throwing the party there, that was, man, that was out of hand.
Yeah,
I
where
had
was
like
this party
100
at? Like,
at my house, at my like my normal sized home. I had 130 people in my backyard.
My God.
I sat back and counted all of them, and there was 130 at one point, and then like 30 minutes later, someone came up to me and was like, "Hey, a party down the street, I think, just got busted." And then something I still enjoy to this day, I got to say the one phrase, "Hey, the cops are coming. Get the fuck out of my house." And within like 2 minutes, my backyard was empty.
Damn.
Jeez.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a joy, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, that's pretty sweet. Jacob, any other Reddit related questions or anything like that?
Nah, not really.
I guess like one thing that me and Jacob wanted to ask was like, how do you guys like promote? Like other than the Reddit and stuff, like how do you get your name out there?
Oh yeah.
That is a
Yeah, other than like your Great Blank Twitter and stuff.
Yeah, we try with Twitter. We've had an Instagram account, but I don't think that's been used in a long while. I mean, that's also what took a lot of time with Home, was trying to figure out a strategy. And I think we have a little bit better of one. It's more about timing, more about imagery. And I think we're in agreement that we need to make a video. It's just how we make it is the hardest part.
Right.
how we make it what it's gonna be actually, because I mean a music video is only worth doing if you have an interesting idea for it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we've come to the conclusion that content is king, and so we try not to promote with a lack of content. Just sending out tweets randomly like, "Hey, listen to us," and things like that.
Right.
I mean, you see people do it, even, famous rappers do it all the time. It's just, I think we would rather go the other way with it and only promote when we have something. But the hardest part about that is if with a small fan base, it's easy to be forgotten about, but it's also much more rewarding when that fan base comes together and promotes something with you, because then you know it's much more personal, it's much more connected. It's more about you and the music rather than you as an entity, which I think is that's what the best part I think about promotion and us finding ways to do it is
Right.
connecting with that audience, with that fan base, and in really rewarding ways.
It's an interesting way to look at it. To kind of cover it, I wanted to talk about the Deep Love album, and that's an interesting album cover. I mean, just kind of walk us through how you guys made that or how it was created.
It's all Alex.
Oh man.
So it was Deep Love, what has not always been the title, but that was the title for a long while before the track was ever done, just because that John Lennon sample at the beginning that Brennan threw in. I think it was John Lennon, right?
Yeah, it's John Lennon talking about like I don't know, drugs or something. Pretty serious.
And so that had been the title after he had put that sample in. And then after it had finished, we were like, hey, we need a cover, we need to get all this out. And so I don't know, it was interesting. We had a bunch of ideas, and then I looked on like public domain photos underwater. And that's actually, it's not a drawing, it's a real picture of a man in a scuba suit underwater, like a full
What?
like a submarine man. I don't know the best way to put it. It's like a Big Daddy, but a person.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And he's standing at the bottom of a pool. And then we took that photo, and I have an app on my phone that it's kind of like I don't know if they still have them, but whenever I was younger, they'd have movie theater booths
Oh,
where
yeah,
it would like
yeah.
draw you out.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about.
And it was an app that was similar to that, and then we edited it a lot, and I went through probably 100 different photos that I had sent to Brennan.
My
Blew
God.
his phone up just from different ideas, and then that's the one we stuck with.
Yeah, I thought it was a
And I
drawing
like it.
or computer generated. I didn't know that was an actual photo at one point, and then
Yeah, that's
edited.
the thing that I think we liked the photo, but it didn't have enough personality behind it.
Right. I'm gonna play the iTunes sample of it just to give people a little bit of a
Sounds good.
taste. So give me a few seconds.
Man, the great blank's back. Yeah, we back to putting on. Back chilling at the trap. Back hanging with the squad. It's been too long, been too busy. Back to old friends in an old city. Back catching up over left cities. Life catching up to come fuck with me, Back calling up all the old girls still fucking with me. Back hanging out with little bruh, listening to Biggie. Back breaking in heli stacks, always gotta fit the Henny. Back focusing on only rap, newish shit, silly, you know we do it for the culture. Used to fantasize about that Beamer and a Rover.
Alright, yeah, so you guys dropped that on March 10th of this year. And yeah, you kind of point to the fact that you guys are back in the song. So it's kind of like a comeback.
Yeah, a little bit. I think this one is not so much a comeback track as I think our next one is going to be. I think
Oh,
that one's
really?
going to be a bit more of a it's not really. Our next track isn't about it being a comeback track. This one's more kind of upfront, like, you know, Great Blank's back
Right.
and all. But I think I don't think that's totally true until we drop the next, because I think Deep Love, I do like the song. It was written a while ago though. It was written kind of around the time that Home came out, so it's still kind of got that kind of Home feel to it, I guess, which we're kind of straying away from a bit on our next single and next album. So I would say, I don't know, Alex, would you agree that our next single is probably more of the Great Blank's back single?
Oh, most definitely. I think with Deep Love, we liked the track. It was a good track. And originally, I think we had thrown around the idea of it being a teaser. But after talking about it, as Brennan said, it wasn't where we wanted to go. It's just where we had been. And so we thought, we haven't released a song for a while. It's a good song. let's just throw a single out there. It's kind of like it's just a track to bide the hunger. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm still very happy with it. I do really enjoy the song, but as Brendan said, I don't think it's where our next tracks are going. Oh goodness, the next track. Oh God.
You're really hyping it up.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I just love the music behind it. Brennan is a genius when it comes to the musical direction. It's
That was stop at you. I agree, though. I agree. I think the next
So
song.
when do you think it'll be ready to drop?
oh
That's a
Or
great.
is that confidential?
Great question.
oh
Amazing question.
a
that
question.
We don't even know.
Yeah.
We don't even answer that.
It's
That's
a
good
question for everyone.
I don't know. Hopefully this summer. Hopefully soon.
Yeah,
Like within a month or two, I would imagine it'll probably be ready.
that's
We
definitely
have
the
like
goal.
the beat is like probably like 95% done, and then the lyrics are getting there, and then just have to lay
Yeah,
down the
getting there.
vocals, and it's basically finished.
Yeah, the lyrics are getting there. That's for sure.
We're working. That's actually what we're gonna work on tonight, I think.
There we go.
Yeah, that's our
So
goal.
pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, this whole summer, are you guys gonna be like pumping out a lot more stuff more often now that like school's over?
Hopefully, because that was a pretty big obstacle this year. I think both of us kind of had a more challenging year school-wise, so it was a little more difficult to keep up with the music stuff.
Yeah.
Do you agree, Alex?
Oh, definitely. I think part of tonight, I think we were going to kind of talk about what the goal for the summer was. But, I mean, as we said, we were trying to work on an album. And I think that's probably one of the main things we're going to be working on throughout the summer.
Right. That's. I mean, if you have the time, then yeah, obviously, that would be a.
I mean, the other thing, too, home was, I think it was 15, 20 minutes. It was relatively short, and one of those was a thank you track.
Okay. Yeah.
And so our next project, we wanted to be a little more full length, somewhere in the realm of like 30, 45 minutes.
Damn.
So we definitely have some obstacles ahead, but they're much more rewarding, I think.
No, I think it'll do great.
Yeah, we're shooting for like 9 or 10 songs.
Nice.
I mean, it sounds like you guys are only improving. Deep Love's
Hopefully.
a little teaser of
Yeah,
that.
I hope.
What y'all think?
I think it's good.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Jacob or Casey, did you have any more questions concerning any of that stuff?
Not really. I guess
forward to
I
the-
did have one question. Like, if somebody wanted to get into music, like, what kind of tips would you give them?
For me, sorry, do you want to go ahead?
Go for it.
Okay, I don't know. A lot of it for me was just finding the right person to work with, which I thankfully found with Alex. But I think, and unless you're like a one-man band who can do it all, then I think you kind of got to find at least one or two other people to work with. Because I can make the music, but I can't sing or spit bars for the life of me. So I definitely needed Alex to collab with me on that. I don't know, what were you gonna say, Alex?
I do agree that a partner is vital, and not necessarily a partner, but just having outside influence, having someone other than yourself telling you what's going on, what you need to do. It's definitely necessary. But I think what helped me the most was learning, and then learning, making, and then listening. And by that, I mean learning production skills and learning things within music. I didn't know what a compressor was for the first 2 years I made music.
Oh, right.
And so learning those things and then making with those things, playing with the tools, trying to figure it out. And then with listening, not necessarily listening to yourself, but listening to other music. So then you can hear those things in real time, thinking, oh, that's a compressor. Oh, that's a hi-hat triplet. Oh, that's a guitar. Like, just figuring out those subtleties within music really helps broaden your perspective on what you do and hear in your own music. Because if you don't know what other people are doing and what the standards are, you won't have a hope in creating something at that level.
Damn, that's some good ass advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Kind of another question was like, do you think that's you guys are more at a disadvantage because you're located in Indiana compared to like
Yes.
California or New York? Or...
I don't know about
Yeah,
Brett, but yeah.
I'd agree. Yeah, I'd agree. I think we're at a disadvantage.
Especially with our genre. If we made other types of music, if we made more like classic rocky or stuff like that, you know, that's popular in Indiana. Like John Mellencamp's from Indiana.
Right.
And that's a pretty good idea as to what Indiana music scene is like. I think we would have a benefit from that, but I think with our genre specifically, we have a disadvantage just due to our location. Which the internet makes that smaller and smaller every day.
Right.
But then again, you
Kinda goes
only
back to
can
that
push
Reddit.
that so far. Yeah, exactly. That Reddit thing, though, all those collaborators would have never existed, 15 years ago.
Right.
That would have never happened.
Another one that I kind of wanted to ask was like, let's say you guys blow up and there's a point where you can make a career out of it. Would that be something that you would want, like to fully dedicate yourself to music and producing?
Oh, for sure. Brent and I have talked
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah, I'd love to.
We have two different ideas about it. I think my shot would be like, fuck this, I'm out of school. Like,
Yeah,
this is my
right.
job. Whereas I think Brennan, as he was saying, he likes the refreshment. And so if you want to go on that.
The refreshment.
Well, just being able to, if you could make it now, how not much would change just because it's obviously working.
Right. I mean, I would definitely stay in school, for sure, definitely, and you finish that up. But
Right.
I mean, ideally, yeah, I would love to make music. Even if it wasn't for the Great Blank, even producing music or something, I would love to do that. But kind of a long shot.
It's possible. I mean, luckily you guys started early on. I mean, in high school, I mean, you've had the time to adapt and, like Alex said, learn everything. Not everything, but you've been learning, so.
No, you were right. Yeah, we do know everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But it's
I am a
no,
genius.
it's hard though. It's hard these days just because it's never been easier for someone to just pick up a laptop and
Right. That's
just
what I was going
make
to say. I feel like
music,
it's very
know?
diluted right now. Anyone can post onto SoundCloud and
100%.
listens.
Yeah, and and that's not necessarily a bad thing though. I mean,
Right.
that's why I'm able to make music myself. It's just that it definitely over dilutes the small kind of group scene, and
right.
yeah, it's just hard to be noticed. Hard to make a splash these days.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're saying, anyone can pull up a laptop and then create music. That's kind of what the dilution has come from, is this.
Right.
I was saying the internet's a great tool, but it makes it, I don't want to say more difficult, but it makes it, I think, a little more random. There's a lot of SoundCloud
yeah,
rappers that
yeah.
blow up off of one song that kind of is good, but they have the aesthetic, I guess.
Yeah, they just got noticed.
Yeah, they're in the scene of those SoundCloud rappers, and that's, I don't think we're at a disadvantage, but I think we have different obstacles ahead just because I don't think we really are part of that SoundCloud scene, that wave. We're not really wave riding.
Right.
And it's not to say those that do are bad. It's just we have a different idea of what the music could be in the future and a different idea of where we want to take it, I guess. So it's
Yeah.
much more interesting. We have different challenges rather than I need one single to blow up. I don't think that's our goal necessarily because of the dilution.
Right. It's probably a good goal.
We would accept it though.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
something blew up, we would not be disappointed.
Oh man. Jacob, do you have any follow up?
No, it's no, not really.
I think
If I've got a question, I'll say it, bro.
go ahead.
No, I'm saying if I have something to ask, I'll just say it.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, we've covered everything that I had, except I did have one last question. It's like, what are your least favorite artists right now? Like, you guys are into the alternative, and Alex kind of raps a little bit. So, like, what are the artists that are kind of like you just hate seeing what they're doing?
I'll let Brennan go first so I can think.
That's very gracious of you. Thank you.
I'm assuming it's probably gonna
God,
be more
I
of
don't-
the alternative is more kind of open to anyone, but there's some very, very interesting rappers right now.
Yeah, I don't really know. It's hard for me to a lot of the hip hop artists that many would consider to be kind of trashy, just because I'm not as involved. I don't
Right.
think with the hip hop scene. I like a kind of small handful of hip hop artists, but I don't know. I think God, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know.
I was just throwing it out there. You don't have to.
No,
answer.
it's a really good question because I just.
Well,
I
it's
don't
interesting
know, I
because like you
think-
guys know the industry, like you're a part of it. So I just didn't know if you like hated some of what
Kind
some
of.
people were doing.
I don't know. I think this may be a little random. I think the alternative, kind of like alternative, like alt rock, alt pop rock, whatever you want to call it. I think for the most part that's pretty bad. Stuff like Imagine Dragons.
Oh my god, yeah, it's terrible.
Oh, you
Yeah.
don't like
Um,
Imagine Dragons? Dang.
Oh wait, do you? No, I love them.
No. I'm just saying, like, not a lot of people are like against them. It's interesting to hear that.
No. Oh really?
I mean, I don't listen to them
I don't
like,
know.
religiously, but I've never heard anyone say, "Oh, I hate Imagine."
I don't
Dragons."
know. I think I kind of agree with Brennan. That ultra diluted, just very
Formulaic.
yes.
Very
Yeah.
formulaic. It's just it all sounds very, very, very similar. You know,
Right.
like every so they're like the Nickelback of alternative.
But Nickelback's kind of good. Okay.
Yeah, they're not as good as Creed, but
Oh no,
you know.
nothing's worse than Creed, dude.
Yeah, actually, that's interesting you brought that up with Imagine Dragons. A friend of mine listens to alternative music, and we're really good friends. But every time she makes me listen to an alternative song, I'm like, "Oh, is this the last band you showed me?" And she's like, "No, this is a different person."
Yeah, it's all kind of in that same realm. I would say kind of 21 Pilots recent stuff has kind of fallen into that. I like their old stuff, but I think their recent stuff's kind of fallen into
Casey
that. Where
said
it's
21
I was about
Pilots.
to mention them. I don't really like them at all.
Yeah,
I don't like
I
their
love
new
21
stuff. I like Vessel. I thought that was a good album.
That's a good
but,
album.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I think alternative music is kind of. I think they just found it. They found what works
Right.
and what sells, and they're just kind of milking that right now. So.
It's like,
I mean, you could say the same thing with trap music right now.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I'm not as well versed in that. So if you want to.
Well, yeah, that's what I was about to say. So I'm not as I hate to say it, I don't listen to a lot of it just because, as Brennan says, with alternative music, it all kind of sounds the same, and that's how I feel about all the Lil rappers. Like, I was watching an interview the other day, and John Mayer mentioned he liked Lil Boom, and I'm like, who the hell's Lil Boom? All those quote unquote SoundCloud rappers, I really don't pay attention to. I mean, there's the big few, Lil Uzi Vert, of course, and then there's Lil Yachty,
Right.
which I'm not necessarily big fans of their music, but they make much better music than the vast majority of those SoundCloud rappers.
Right.
Some people I really like though in the SoundCloud scene, like Trippie Redd, amazing. Oh my god, that guy can make some music. Which I think is really interesting because someone like that wouldn't have had a voice 5 years ago without the wave. Tekashi 6ix9ine is garbage.
Oh yeah.
He's terrible. He's also a pedophile.
Oh, what?
Famous Dex is a piece of shit because he beats women. Tentacion. His music is at least different.
These names.
I don't-
dude.
Yeah, exactly. He's at least interesting artistically. I don't think his music is good, but it's different. He's trying something different. But he
Right.
also beats women, so I don't listen to him. And that's kind of like a no-go. Or if you're a
Right.
shitty person, I just can't go for it. I just
Yeah.
can't. I can't provide you income.
Support
Your
My
you.
favorite
Right.
artist is Kanye, though.
Yeah, has Kanye ever beat a woman?
No.
No, but I mean, he's a jackass.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, he's
man.
not. He's not a terrible person.
No, I mean, no, I love Kanye.
I love Kanye.
You know,
Don't you dare.
think,
Yeah,
dude, I think didn't I show you him? Didn't I like introduce you?
Yeah, you were like, oh, here's Kanye.
No, I told you about Yee. I told you about Yee.
That yeah.
Kanye.
Yeah, that's what I
Um,
call him. We're really close. So just kidding.
It wants to be called that.
Yeah.
I mean, we've covered
But-
everything that I had. If you guys want to talk about anything, any upcoming stuff, or any shout outs, I don't know.
Well,
Upcoming stuff. We got that single. I wish we had a release date, but we'll announce that as soon as we can. Probably soon.
yeah, it should be
I would-
soon.
I would assume within the next month or two, and then an
Month
album
or
on the way.
two.
Month.
There.
Within the next month, hopefully. June/July, maybe.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be good. What about any so like, okay, you went to the outdoor restaurant area. Like, are you guys trying to get another concert lined up in the future? Like, that's a good way to promote.
I don't think so. Are we?
I wasn't planning on it. It's a lot of work to do the practice,
Right.
and I think that's time that could be better spent just working on the album or the single.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's just more important right now. But shows sometime, definitely sometime.
Yeah, there's definitely time and place for it. As Brennan said, I think our time can be more well spent somewhere else. As we were talking about earlier, our location definitely plays a factor.
Yeah.
And so I think that with that location, our efforts are best suited to go towards the online route in the internet age rather than try to peddle our music to the people we know.
Right.
Yeah, because as far as I know, I mean, where even in India do like local hip hop artists really perform?
Hip
I mean,
hop?
we have.
Nowhere.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we
Yeah.
have like Emerson and those places, but those are literally like all just metal and like pop punk venues normally.
Yeah, and like
That's what I'm
indie
saying,
music,
like indie,
like
like
the
it-
Vogue and
It depends on where you are.
Yeah, it's
Do you
Oh,
think you
definitely.
could? Have you tried going to a one of your courses?
could you say it once more? I kind of broke it.
Have you tried doing anything at one of your campuses?
No.
that's maybe a good idea though.
You could go to
Yeah,
like the radio station. Have them.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
Oh, I've been on radio before. It's kind of hype. It's
Damn.
really interesting. Yeah, a good friend of mine did the radio at our school, and our school like has a legit radio station. Our
Yeah.
high school did, and it was really interesting.
Who's your
Ben Miller, actually.
Okay.
Um.
I was also on radio, Alex.
Oh, okay. Yeah, radio's I think a good option for us. The campuses, I actually had looked into it. I think I was more tasked with finding venues, and Brennan was more tasked with creating the set a little bit more. Whenever we tried it last year,
Okay, yeah.
and Purdue is kind of dead. Hate to admit it. Love my school, but man,
No, Jacob goes there.
yeah, it is not. It is not the place to be, especially after visiting IU. It's just
Oh
Not
my
happening.
god. Dude,
But-
the last few weeks of school, I went to IU like every.
He was here
Oh,
every weekend.
hell yeah.
Yeah, he was at our place.
Yeah.
It's a
Alright,
move. So I think I use a little different, but I think that's also about knowing people and having connections and things like that. Because I know people perform at fraternities and things like that,
Right.
but no fraternity wants to get an email. Hey, do you want to pay be there when no one knows us.
Get into Kilroy's or Recess.
Yeah, yeah, I could get in a
Yeah,
bar.
maybe.
Be cool.
That's actually not the worst idea.
Yeah,
Gilroy's?
we got an album coming out. Promoted
Dude,
it.
hype it up. Rent out the club.
No one knows us. It's the perfect setup.
Exactly. Exactly.
No, that's
Uh,
definitely something worth looking into, though. I don't know why we never even like thought of that or mentioned it.
I think the radio would definitely be good because like you don't even have to like that's nothing you have to do in person. You just tell them, hey, can you play this occasionally? And like even if it doesn't get any listens, like
Yeah.
it's out there.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Someone will hear it. Someone out in space or something, maybe, which would be
It'll
dope.
echo out indefinitely.
Yes. That'd be crazy. Yeah, I mean, unless you guys have anything else, we're an hour and 15 minutes in.
Oh,
Uh,
damn.
We're cooking.
Just like to thank you for having us on.
No,
'cause
no,
it's
no,
been
no.
a great pleasure.
We thank you.
Thank you guys.
We got to do this again.
Oh.
Maybe after the next album drops, we can have a little
Oh,
recap
For
episode.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Let's do it.
Get another recap. See how you guys are doing.
Oh
I'd
yeah.
love to.
Play some.
I love it when you
samples.
guys check in. You know,
Oh yeah.
it makes me feel important.
Well, and another thing I wanted to talk about was Cal. We found out Cal could rap recently, so maybe he can be in on the next
Yes.
album.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our
he
good
might
friend,
be. Our good friend that
our good friend
raps,
Cal Sahu.
that makes music, he
Shout out to
might
Cal.
just be involved with a little bit of something.
There we.
Hell
I
yeah.
look forward to all of that. We can have him on the next one.
Hell yeah.
Rap about
That
would be
Soren.
Let's
get it.
rap
Let's
about
get
the
sponsorship.
Soren versus Jewel.
Sponsored by Soren.
Everybody listening gets a free Soren.
Yes.
Oh, dude.
All right. Well, we'll do the outro here, and then we will wrap up the stream. Find
Oh,
it.
yeah.
here.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, again, thank you for joining us, Brennan and Alex. We wish you
Thank
the
you.
best with the great
Thank you for
blank
having us.
and coming on to the show. We thank you for that. Yeah, hopefully we can have you on again. Maybe Cal can come on. And
Of course. Let's
yeah,
do it.
Well, just don't forget about us when you get up there. Invite us to the next wild house party, Alex.
For sure.
All
For
right.
sure.
And everyone watching online, we appreciate you for stopping and listening, and we will catch you on the next episode of the Cosmic Closet Podcast. Thank you for watching.